It's Tom and Joe in the morning, brought to you by these local sponsors. Oh, wait. Well, so we can't have any local sponsors. But what we can have is 90 minutes of fun with Tommy Rezach.
I'm a college student. I love free stuff.
That's right.
And Joey Hoyle.
Those are some expensive birds.
Now here's Tom and Joe in the morning.
Welcome in. Tommy Rezach with you. Joey Hoyle is out today. No worries. Glad you could be with me on this Monday morning. It is Monday, March 7th here in Lincoln. It's supposed to be really nice out there today. Currently 59 degrees, cloudy skies, a little bit of mist on that drive in, but nothing too bad. Again, we should see a high near 77, almost 80. It's going to almost feel like summer out there today, so hopefully you get outside. Going to be windy, though, so be prepared for that. It's going to be dry. It's going to be warm. Again, glad you could be with me. Tommy Rezach here on Tom and Joe in the morning, going solo today. But again, no problem. Joey will be back with us on Friday. A couple of headlines I wanted to get to. Big show lined up for you this morning. We're going to recap the Nebraska Democratic Caucus that went on Saturday. Bernie Sanders winning that. A couple of headlines to talk about to recap that. Big weekend in sports, not only for the Huskers, but just all around. Golden State losing to the Lakers last night. That was weird. So we'll talk about sports. Nancy Reagan, unfortunately, passing away at the age of 94. We'll reflect on that, on the memory of Nancy Reagan. Other things, it's International Women's Day as well. So happy International Women's Day to all of the important women in our lives. So that's a pretty important holiday. We'll talk about the celebration of that. But first, some news right here at home. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln actually ranks pretty highly on a list of colleges with most undergrad majors. The Lincoln Journal-Star reporting on this last night. UNL is one of the colleges offering the most undergraduate majors. There are a lot of majors here on campus, and you students know what I'm talking about. Lots to offer the university has. UNL is one of the colleges offering the most undergrad majors. See details on UNL and the other 25 colleges on a list with many options for these college students who aren't quite sure what they want to do. There are many things that any 18-year-old feels unsure about, and perhaps among them is their future. I've been there. You know, a couple of years ago, I was 18 years old, a freshman. I always knew I wanted to do journalism. Like here in this building, we offer journalism, broadcasting, ad PR. Wasn't sure which one I wanted to do. I chose broadcasting. Pretty comfortable with that. Anyway, despite this general truth of 18-year-olds being unsure what they want to do, incoming college freshmen are asked to declare an undergraduate major that could have a significant impact on their career paths. Though it's possible to change your major after declaring, that initial decision can have a lasting effect. Given the importance of this decision, it's never a bad thing to have plenty of choices. With that in mind, StartClass, that's a website, found the 26 colleges that offer the most undergraduate majors, with using the latest data from the National Center for Education Statistics for each school's undergraduate major information. There are 61 colleges that have at least 100 undergraduate majors, and the 26 schools on this list offered by the Journal-Star offer 119 or more. Though some students at these colleges might still have trouble settling on one field of study, it won't be for a lack of viable options. So again, UNL ranking highly on this list as we look through it right now. Number 26 is Northern Arizona. Number 25 is New York University. Looking at this list, number 24 is Oral Roberts. Pretty prestigious school right there. This is a pretty prestigious list that UNL ranks on. Number 23 is Bradley University. Number 22, Bowling Green. Again, a very highly ranked academic school. Boston University at number 21. Number 20 is Eastern Michigan. Number 19, University of Arizona. Number 18 is the University of Illinois at Champaign, the Fighting Illini, ranking at number 18. Again, this is a ranking of the schools that offer the most undergraduate majors. Number 17, Syracuse. This is pretty high company. Number 16 is Central Washington. Number 15 is Temple. Looking where UNL ranks. Number 14, Michigan State. There's a fellow Big Ten school. Number 13, the University of Georgia from the SEC. Number 12, University of Akron. Number 11 is the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The Badgers, again, another Big Ten school on this list. Number 10 is Central Michigan, so it looks like UNL will be in the top 10. Penn State is number 9, another Big Ten school. Number 8, Washington State. Number 7, University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So there you have it. Nebraska ranks 7th in the nation in number of undergraduate majors offered. That's pretty awesome. And undergrad acceptance rate is about 70%. As of this year, there are 25,006 students enrolled at the university, with about 4,600 incoming freshmen on average. And the number of undergraduate majors offered, 139. That's incredible. I mean, I had no idea. And it's awesome to be ranked in there with so many elite schools like Syracuse and Temple and other Big Ten schools like Michigan State and Wisconsin and Penn State. Great honor. Nebraska ranks number 7 just for fun. Let's look at the top 6 that rank on this list. Number 6 ahead of Nebraska is Western Michigan. Number 5 is University of Minnesota, another Big Ten school. All right, we're in the top 5 now. Number 4, Purdue, another Big Ten school. Number 3, we're getting into the top 3 now. Ohio State ranks at number 3, the Ohio State, I guess you could say. Number 2, BYU. A lot of us are familiar with BYU. And number 1, let's get a drum roll here. The number 1 college that offers the most undergraduate programs. The University of Washington in Seattle, a great school. Again, they're number 42 ranked as far as a research university goes. 44,784 enrolled. Nebraska, you probably already know this, Nebraska is in the bottom 3 as far as total enrollment in the Big Ten, probably even further down in the nation. But Washington, about 6,300 incoming freshmen, only about a 55% undergrad acceptance rate, and they offer 227 majors. So if you're a freshman, if you're 18 years old, if you're a senior in high school, if you don't know what you want to do, Nebraska and the University of Washington, 2 good places to start. Lots of majors offered there. So again, we thank the Journal Star for publishing this list on their website. If you want to check it out, go to journalstar.com, and there's a link there. That's where I found it if you want to read it. UNL, number 7 on the list of colleges with most undergrad majors, and the University of Washington in Seattle ranking number 1. Washington, beautiful campus. Nebraska's been up there to play football before, and a really beautiful campus up there. So a well put together list there. All right, 6:39. Got time for one more story before we take our first break. Going out of state for this one. This was just we'll recap the caucus in our next segment. We'll do that before the top of the hour. But here's one headline that I wanted to get to from Huffington Post actually shared this one. There's a soup kitchen in Kansas City that's set up like a restaurant so homeless people can dine with dignity. Yeah, this was a heartwarming story I was reading last night. One organization has souped up the traditional soup kitchen. Kansas City Community Kitchen in Kansas City, Missouri serves food restaurant style to homeless people, which is a process which includes greeters, waiters, and a side of respect. Check out the audio from their website.
Our belief is that food is the ultimate human right. So for us, if we can make sure that people have the nutrition they need, but also the skill and the ability to know how to make that nutrition fit with what they want and to have their voice heard, we know that it'll make impacts in how they raise their family, how they act at work, their ability to seek work, and to just be a member of our greater community.
So we are trying to flip the photo of what a soup kitchen looks like. That audio is just from a staff member, but this quote from the Director of Community Engagement at Episcopal Community Services, who runs this soup kitchen, the director of this kitchen, Mandy Caruso Yanni. We are trying to flip the photo of what a soup kitchen looks like. The Kansas City Community Kitchen has been serving the community for 30 years, according to its website, but on February 5th, it reopened with its new restaurant-style initiative that allows the homeless to dine with dignity. Check this out. Each weekday between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., volunteer waitstaff serve high-quality lunches to the homeless. This is according to a press release. Individuals are greeted at the door by a host who seats them at a table with a menu. This is a soup kitchen. How cool is that? A waiter then asks them what they'd like to eat, and a freshly made meal is delivered to them. I'll share this link on our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com, search Tom and Joe in the Morning. But it's different. This is Brian Oglesby, who's a homeless man who dined at the Kansas City Community Kitchen. This is what he told the Kansas City Star. It's different. They're treating me good like they don't even know I'm homeless. How good does that have to make you feel if you're homeless, you go to a soup kitchen expecting, the same old average soup kitchen. You go and it's like a gourmet restaurant. I mean, that'd be a pretty cool place to volunteer. Maybe if I'm ever in Kansas City, I'll go check it out, maybe volunteer. feel good about myself, and I'll have fun as well. The menu was created by executive chef Michael Curry. And then the owner of the Kansas City restaurant Lil Bubba once lived in poverty and ate at soup kitchens himself. This is, again, according to the story. Curry, the chef, cooks a healthy and varied menu that incorporates fresh foods and suggestions made by diners. And serving the homeless isn't all this organization is cooking up. Volunteers at the kitchen can also participate in the Culinary Cornerstones training program, which is a 12-week class that teaches the under and unemployed cooking and financial skills. It also helps students get apprenticeships at a local restaurant. So if you're studying food studies or culinary studies, the Kansas City Community Kitchen can help with that, and it can also help those who are underemployed or unemployed learn some cooking skills. So really helpful organization they've got going here. And one more quote from the Kansas City Star: "The homeless are used to standing in line for food for a bed, and they stand in line to get in the door. You see them smile today? This can change a man's heart." So that's really what they're all about. Just trying to make them smile a little bit more, make themselves stand out among other soup kitchens, and that's what they've done. Kenneth Cabine, he is a volunteer who greets people at the door, and that's what he told the Kansas City Star. "The homeless are used to standing in line for food for a bed. They stand in line to get to the door, but you see them smile today. This can change a man's heart." Really, and they this article on Huffington Post, a lot of really great pictures of just some of the things they serve up. I'll share that, again, on our Facebook page. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com, search Tom and Joe in the Morning. You can also find us on Twitter, @TomJoeMorning, we'll post some of our stories there as well. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll recap that Democratic caucus that happened Saturday, just some quick thoughts and reaction to that. And then we'll get to your weather forecast as well, and then we have news coming up at the top of the hour. So stay with me. You're listening to Tom and Joe in the Morning. Tommy Rezach doing it solo today. We'll be right back.
Be sure to follow Tom and Joe in the Morning on Facebook. Facebook.com/pages/Tom-and-Joe/6. Forget it. Just type in Tom and Joe in the Morning.
From the Roy Lenwell Studios, here's Tom and Joe in the Morning on 90.3 KRNU.
Welcome back to Tom and Joe in the Morning. 6:53 in the capital city. Still hanging on to about 59 degrees. Tommy Rezach here with you. Joey Hoyle is out today. He'll be back on Friday. But glad I could be with you on this Monday morning. We should see a high near 80 degrees. I said 77 in that forecast you heard a little while ago, but might be a little bit warmer than that. Talking about 80 degrees. Looking at partly sunny skies. Going to be a lot of cloud cover for a good part of the day. And it's also going to be really windy. But I promised that we would go over the Nebraska Democratic Caucus, which happened on Saturday. The first story I wanted to talk about, this was just a brief little reader, and a guy named Arnie Weiss, who grew up on a farm in southeast Nebraska, served in the Army in the 1970s, and was the only person to show up for Lancaster County's North Bluff precinct on Saturday. Weiss sat alone in the corner at the VFW post and watched as the four other precincts in Lancaster County divided by candidates. Then he discussed the merits of former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Here's a quote from, again, Arnie Weiss, who showed up alone to a precinct in North Bluff, Lancaster County. Quote from Arnie: "One of the party people said he tried to call everybody in the precinct, but some of them just aren't coming. There are not very many of them out there, maybe 5 or 6. And Weiss is a retired industrial maintenance manager who lives on an acreage northwest of Waverly just northeast of Lincoln on U.S. Highway 6. A Sanders supporter, Arnie Weiss says he encourages his children and family members to be involved in public affairs, so felt obligated to do the same. If he would have had the chance to speak, Weiss would have talked about Sanders' support of agriculture and how, as chairman of the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, he worked with Senator John McCain to pass the Veterans Choice Act to improve dental and health care access for veterans. But because he was the only person to show up in his precinct, he didn't get that chance, and his precinct will not get a delegate at the Lancaster County Democratic Convention." This story by Nicholas Bergen from the Lincoln Journal-Star. Just a quick reader. So Arnie Weiss, a farmer, retired maintenance manager who lives near Waverly. He grew up on a farm in southeast Nebraska, an Army veteran, a Sanders supporter, but his precinct will not get a delegate at the Democratic Convention because he was the only one to show up. But hats off to Arnie Weiss for doing his civil duty and showing up to support the candidate he wants to see elected in the Democratic Party. But yeah, just kind of a big recap of what happened in that caucus on Saturday. As you know, Bernie Sanders was the winner in that caucus, gaining a much-needed win in the wake of Super Tuesday results earlier this week, where Hillary Clinton claimed a pretty big victory last week in Super Tuesday. The tabulation released by the Nebraska Democratic Party at 12:30 a.m. Sunday, and this is official numbers. Bernie Sanders received 15,874 votes. Hillary Clinton 12,293. I thank the people of Nebraska for their strong support. That was Bernie Sanders in a statement released from Detroit. That's where he was on Saturday night. The win in Kansas, coupled with a double-digit victory in Kansas, the other state Bernie won on Saturday, will put us on a path towards victory. Again, that's a quote from Bernie Sanders' release on late Saturday night. Sanders said he now has the momentum, the energy, and the excitement that will take us, as in the Sanders campaign, all the way to the Democratic National Convention. Late arriving figures showed Sanders defeating Clinton by a nearly 2-1 margin in Lancaster County, about 3,200 to about 1,900. That's 3,200 votes for Sanders and about 1,960 for Hillary Clinton. Those numbers were bolstered by a large turnout of UNL students. And you UNL students probably know what I'm talking about. Bernie was at the Lead Center last Thursday. We were actually going to do a show on Friday, and I was actually the Daily Nebraskan had several reporters out there, and I was going to bring one of them on as a guest, either on the phone or in studio, and we were going to talk about that rally. But I heard the rally was a big success. I didn't go. I had class. Sanders can add Nebraska to the list of states he won. The state's delegation to the Democratic National Convention is likely to be closely split once delegate slots are allocated by a formula tied to the vote. While the Vermont senator also added Kansas caucus to his victory list, Clinton was winning a primary election in Louisiana Saturday, and Louisiana was the state on Saturday that had the most delegates at stake. In announcing early results, Democratic State Chairman Vince Powers of Lincoln said he has been assured by supporters of both Sanders and Clinton that 99% of them would be back for the eventual Democratic nominee, whether their candidate is chosen or not, whether it is Clinton or Sanders. Powers' early tally of results was broadcast live from the Cornhusker Marriott on CNN. So that's pretty cool. CNN broadcasting live from the Cornhusker in downtown Lincoln. Former President Bill Clinton, he swept into Lincoln and Omaha to make a final pitch for his wife on last Friday night. But in the end, Hillary Clinton unable to win Nebraska. And it's interesting, 8 years ago, 2008, Barack Obama actually defeated Clinton in the first presidential caucus held by Nebraska Democrats, and Obama moved on to win Metropolitan Omaha's 2nd congressional district presidential electoral vote in the general election. So just to recap, 25 delegates to the Democratic National Convention, which takes place in Philadelphia in July, 25 delegates at stake in Nebraska. Sanders got 15 of them, Hillary Clinton with 10. 5 so-called superdelegates will also be part of the state's 30-member delegation, and 3 of them committed their support to Clinton long before this caucus. And Hillary Clinton addressed a campaign rally in Omaha back in December, but did not return to the state. Her daughter Chelsea made campaign stops in Lincoln and Omaha in the final week. And recapping from Super Tuesday, Hillary Clinton won 7 of 11 Super Tuesday states, leaving Sanders in need of a victory or 2 on Saturday. And with Sanders winning Nebraska and Kansas, he was able to do that, and Sanders kind of put himself really back in that conversation. It seemed like a lot of the media coverage was paying attention to Hillary, rightfully so. She won 7 of 11 states last Tuesday, but Sanders had a good weekend. He got 2 states on Saturday with Nebraska and Kansas, so it looks like this race is going to go right to the convention. Very tight race. We've been seeing that. It looked like it was swaying in Clinton's favor, but Sanders got a little bit of momentum this weekend, so we'll see what happens. So the Sanders campaign targeted funding to Nebraska to air TV ads. There's been radio spots and to reach out to Democratic households by direct mail, and his UNL appearance generated his student base. I heard there was a caucus going on for UNL students at the Union, and there weren't even enough Hillary supporters that showed up to give her a percentage on the board. So the voters that turned out for the UNL caucus at the Union, basically unanimously, Bernie Sanders supporters. Not surprising, again, with his rally at the Lead Center. The line went all the way from the lead. I heard it stretched all the way to the rec center last Thursday. So really impressive, the number of people that showed up wanting to show their support for presidential candidate Bernie Sanders. So again, that's a recap of the caucus. I'll post this article on our Facebook page. You can find that Huffington Post Kansas City Soup Kitchen story there as well, and I'll share this caucus recap story on our Facebook page as well. Go to facebook.com, search Tom and Joe in the Morning, and you can always follow us on Twitter at Tom Joe Morning. We'll take a quick break, and we'll have a look at your local news and more when we come back. This is Tom and Joe in the Morning. Tommy Rezach going solo here on 90.3 KRNU. Good morning. It's 7:03 in Lincoln, 59 degrees and cloudy skies from the UNL College of Journalism and Mass Communications newsroom. I'm Tommy Rezach. Lincoln police are investigating a vehicle that drove into the front of the Walgreens near 40th and Old Cheney around 1:45 this morning. Police found the abandoned vehicle halfway inside the store, leaving a significant amount of damage to the building. LPD thinks the suspects were trying to get to the ATM. LPD Sergeant Ben Seaman told KLKN-TV this morning that there are no suspects at this time. Women will remain a minority in the Nebraska legislature no matter how many votes they receive in the upcoming election. Of the 63 candidates who filed by Tuesday's deadline to run for the 25 seats open in the unicameral this year, only 15 of them are women, including 4 senators who are running for re-election. There are 11 women serving in the 49-member unicameral right now, and if women were elected to all possible seats they could fill this fall, there would still only be a net gain of 5 seats. Former Nebraska Governor Kay Orr says she will not support Donald Trump if he wins the GOP nomination for president. Orr tells the Omaha World-Herald she doesn't believe Trump supports the conservative ideals of Ronald Reagan and Abraham Lincoln that she supports. She also questions Trump's character. Orr is the second prominent Nebraska Republican to oppose Trump in the past week. U.S. Senator Ben Sasse also said he will not vote for Trump if he wins the GOP primary. Orr, who was Nebraska's governor from 1987 to 1991, says she has consistently supported Republican candidates for president for more than 50 years before now. The Nebraska Game and Parks Commission will certify youth fishing instructors at a training session later this month in eastern Nebraska. The volunteers will receive training and tools to conduct fishing clinics. As instructors, they'll have access to loaner fishing gear and educational material for events, as well as program incentives. The free training session is scheduled to run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday at Exarban Aquarium. At 7:05, 59 degrees, cloudy skies in Lincoln. Now here's a check of your weather forecast for today, March 7th.
This is the Tom and Joe in the Morning forecast.
The warm temperatures and nice conditions continue on your Monday, but so does the wind. We should see partly sunny skies today with a high near 77, winds out of the south at 15 to 20 miles an hour, gusting to 30. Tonight, mostly cloudy and breezy, lows near 54. Tuesday, mostly sunny and a little cooler, but still nice, with highs near 66. Wednesday, mostly sunny and cooler yet, with highs near 60. And on Thursday, mostly sunny and warming back up, with highs near 65. That is your weekly weather planner for the UNL and Lincoln area. I'm Tommy Rezach for Tom and Joe in the Morning on 90.3 KRNU.
The stress of my modern office has caused me to go into a depression.
Don't let that happen. Tom and Joe in the Morning is here to make the start to your workday just a little less stressful.
That was Snacktology by Buffalo Tooth. Before that, you heard Zelda by the Antlers here on 90.3 KRNU. 7:13 in Lincoln, cloudy skies and about 60 degrees here in the capital city, working towards a high of about 80 degrees today. Glad you could be with us. Tommy Rezach here. Joey Hoyle is out here on Tom and Joe in the Morning. No worries. Joey will be back Friday. So it's time for this week's Top 5. If you're a usual listener of the show, you know that Joey and I pick a category and we list the top 5 best or worst things of that category. And let's get to this week's Top 5. Now you're probably thinking, why did you play and stop that song? Well, I love March Madness, and March Madness is just around the corner. We're not going to talk about March Madness because, well, first off, Nebraska basketball is not in March Madness. The Huskers suffering their 5th straight loss yesterday. We'll talk about that a little bit more coming up in our sports in this segment. But the reason why I did that is because Husker baseball is coming back to Lincoln Tuesday. They play a 2-game series this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, playing Northern Colorado. The Golden Grizzlies, I think is what they're called. 2-game series, Tuesday, Wednesday, 1:30 first pitch. Both of those games will be here on KRNU. More on that in a little bit. But the top 5 today, since Nebraska, since basketball is all but over, we figured we'd do a top 5. Joey did help me with this last night. The top 5 reasons to attend a Husker baseball game this year. How about that? you haven't been to a Husker baseball game, I highly recommend it. It is a good time. Baseball is not my number one sport, I will say. I think basketball and football I do like a little better, but Husker baseball is a really good time. Haymarket Park, world-class facility for college baseball. So it's our top 5 this week, the top 5 reasons why you should attend a Husker baseball game this year. No, we're not going to get into the boring X's and O's and numbers and this is really good and this player's really good. No, I mean, if we wanted to, we could do that. We could talk all day about that. But we're going to get into the fun reasons, the top 5 reasons why you should attend a Husker baseball game this spring. If you have one reason why do you love attending Husker baseball, give us a call, 402-472-KRNU. That's 402-472-5768. You can also shoot us a tweet at Tom Joe Morning and find us on Facebook, facebook.com, and search Tom and Joe in the Morning in the search bar. The top 5 reasons why you should attend a Husker baseball game this spring.
Number 5.
Well, number 5, I've kind of hinted at this already. Basketball is over, and March Madness isn't happening in Lincoln. Now, Nebraska, they do play in the Big Ten tournament this week, the men's team, and then the women's team are likely going to play in the NIT. Don't get me wrong. I want them to win. I want both teams to succeed. I love Husker basketball, both men's and women's. But March Madness, you guys remember this 2 years ago, with No Sit Sunday happening a couple years back, and the Nebraska basketball team making that tournament run. It was really exciting, but we won't have that this year, unfortunately, for neither the men or the women's team. And Yori's Huskers have been to the tournament a lot, and like I said, they're still going to go to the NIT, and that's still great. And I'm really happy for that team, and I hope they do well. But March Madness isn't happening. I still will watch the tournament. I love it, but basketball is over. No March Madness here in Lincoln, so what better way to kind of revamp your sports excitement? Go to a Husker baseball game. They're starting with a fresh slate, fresh season. They start a 9-game homestand Tuesday. Just a little something different. Basketball, it's about over here in Lincoln. So why not start the spring with a fresh slate, clean slate, a new season with Husker baseball? So that's my number 5. Basketball is all but over here in Lincoln, so might as well start fresh with a new sport, Husker baseball.
Number 4.
The lemonade guy who sells that lemonade, it is the best thing that you will ever taste ever. The lemonade at Haymarket Park is outstanding. And again, those of you that have attended a game and bought the lemonade, the guy that you can hear him. He might be in the lower bowl behind home plate, and you could be sitting all the way out in the outfield, and you can hear this guy, lemonade, lemonade. And everyone does the little chant, woo. If you've attended a Husker baseball game, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I probably sound like I'm talking crazy. But number 4, the lemonade that the lemonade guy sells at Haymarket Park at Husker baseball games is amazing. I don't think that happens at Salt Dogs games. It's only a Husker baseball thing. So if you hate baseball, go for the lemonade. It's amazing. I can't believe the lemonade didn't make it any higher than number 4 on my list. But the lemonade that the lemonade guy sells is incredible. It might be, it's worth every penny to drink that lemonade. It comes in all flavors, all different colors and everything. Go have that lemonade. You'll see him, you'll hear him when you're at the ballpark for Husker baseball. Check that out this season. The lemonade from the lemonade guy.
Number 3.
Number 3, so you baseball fans probably know this, opening day isn't until April 3rd when they do the Sunday night baseball game on ESPN, and then the full opening day will be Monday, April 4th. So basically 4 weeks from today is opening day. That's a long time. And us baseball fans, yeah, it's great. Spring training is going on. The spring training games have started, and that's good and well, but it's still only spring training. It's kind of a teaser. It's like NFL preseason. It doesn't really tell you anything. So you got to do something to quench, baseball fans, you got to do something to quench your baseball thirst until that opening day happens. What better way? College baseball, and me and Joey have had this conversation off the air before. College baseball to us is really underrated. It's the fans that love college baseball are a minority. You just don't hear that much about it. Maybe it's just because they're college kids. Maybe because MLB is a few steps ahead. I don't know. But I feel like college baseball is really underrated. And it's an opportunity to watch kids who will one day play on the majors. As many of you know, our own Ryan Bolt is really up high on MLB's draft board. Could be a first-round pick. It's an opportunity to just go watch some MLB talent. Just watch college kids compete. And if you love Major League Baseball, you'll love college baseball. It's just like college football. Yeah, maybe it's not quite as competitive and quite as exciting as the pros, but college baseball is great, and it's a great way to kind of just to quench your baseball thirst until we get to opening day on April 3rd and the 4th. So that's my number 3. Opening day isn't until April 3rd. You got to do something to quench your baseball thirst. What better way to go watch some college baseball? Go watch the Huskers at Haymarket Park.
Number 2.
My number 2, it's pretty simple. What better, we got nice weather coming up this week. We're talking highs 60 degrees or more all week long. What better way to enjoy this nice spring weather than just be outside, watching a ball game, or sitting on the berm, eating a hot dog, sitting on a blanket, and just hanging out with your best friends? I'll be honest, as a sports guy, I usually go to watch the game, but sometimes we're either, winning by a lot or maybe losing by a lot. If that's the case, if the game isn't entertaining, it's just nice to be outside, be with some friends, just let loose, hang out, just lay out on the outfield, lay on a blanket, and just enjoy the day. I'll tell you, I went to the Husker baseball game after the spring game last spring. Nebraska was playing a series with Minnesota, and I went to the game. It was so the spring game was in the afternoon, and the baseball game in the evening. I went to that game. It wasn't a great game. I think Nebraska basically had it in the bag by the 4th inning or something. Nebraska was in control, so it wasn't the most tense, high-energy game. But it was just good to be out there. It was an evening game. It was just a picture-perfect day. I was out there with my girlfriend. It was just a good time. It was just a good time to relax and just enjoy the nice weather, be outside, and cheer on the Huskers. What better way to do that? What better way to enjoy the nice weather than to be outside, laying on a blanket in the outfield, sipping on the lemonade from the lemonade guy, eating a hot dog, and just hanging out with your best friends watching a ball game? Really, to me, there's honestly no better way to spend, in Lincoln at least, when it's this warm out. One of the best ways to enjoy the weather. Just get out there and see a ball game.
Number 1.
So I mentioned Nebraska baseball starts their home schedule this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, against Northern Colorado, and a lot of you probably have class. So the number 1 reason why you should attend Husker baseball this season, because we all know you need an excuse to skip class this Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm kidding. I'm not trying to promote skipping class, but if your class is canceled Tuesday or Wednesday, or if you feel like you're on top of your homework and you don't need to go, if you need an excuse to skip class Tuesday and Wednesday or not go, Husker baseball is your answer. That's the number 1 reason why you should attend a Husker baseball game this year if you want to play hooky. Perfect opportunity this week. Tuesday and Wednesday, 1:35 first pitch, Nebraska and Northern Colorado. A 2-game series, the start of a 9-game homestand, and then Nebraska will play LMU this weekend. More on Husker baseball in further shows. We're going to put a wrap on that, but we do need to talk sports. I said busy weekend in sports, so we'll just go over our sportscast, quickly go through just a few quick stories, like the Golden State loss and some things about Husker basketball, and then we'll take a break and look at celebrity birthdays, what happened on this day in history. We'll also talk about the life of Nancy Reagan. I talked about this at the top of the show. Nancy Reagan former First Lady Reagan passing away at the age of 94. We'll talk about that coming up after 7:30, but right now, let's get to our sportscast. Okay, so we start off this morning talking about Nebraska baseball. Nebraska basketball. We already talked baseball. So we talked Nebraska basketball. The Huskers' comeback fell short Sunday afternoon as the Huskers fell at Northwestern 65-54 in the regular season finale for both teams. The Huskers are now 14-17 overall and 6-12 in the Big Ten. They trimmed a 20-point deficit to a 55-49 ball game with 4:03 remaining after a pair of Siobhan Shields free throws, but they couldn't get closer. Northwestern just held on down the stretch. With this loss, Nebraska will play Rutgers on Wednesday evening in the first round of the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis, one of the 2 play-in games. The game with Nebraska and Rutgers tips off at 6 p.m. Central Time. It'll air on BTN. Ty Webster and Andrew White III led NU with 13 points apiece, while Siobhan Shields added 11 in a losing effort. Nebraska didn't play well. They only shot 35%, and they were out-rebounded 40-26. Rebounds, that's really what's been killing Nebraska lately. One of several things, I should say. Nebraska was a good rebounding team earlier this year, but it seems like teams like Purdue and Northwestern and Ohio State have been able to out-rebound them. Saw the same thing here. So if the Huskers win Wednesday, Rutgers has only won 1 Big Ten game all year. Nebraska's won 6. But if Nebraska wins Wednesday, they will then face 6th-seeded Wisconsin Thursday night at approximately 8 p.m. Central. So Nebraska has to get past Rutgers to advance to the second round. And if they do that, Wisconsin, who is the 6th seed, who doesn't have to play a play-in game, Nebraska has to beat Rutgers on Wednesday at 6. If they do that, they will face Wisconsin Thursday night at 8. And some of you might remember, Wisconsin did beat Nebraska in Madison earlier this year by about 11 points. So It's not an impossible task, but Nebraska has a long road to the Big Ten Tournament Championship. The only way they make March Madness at this point is if they would win that tournament. Now, Nebraska, some of you might be thinking, they've gone toe-to-toe with a lot of teams from the Big Ten, but they've also lost to a lot of teams in the Big Ten, like Purdue, like Northwestern, like Indiana, by double figures. So I don't expect Nebraska to go in. I expect them to lose to Wisconsin, just because Wisconsin is on a roll. They're 20-10. Badgers are going to be dangerous in the tournament again this year. They're probably not going back to the championship like they did last year, but they're going to be a dangerous team. So, again, Nebraska-Rutgers, the 11 and the 14 seed. Nebraska is the 11 seed. They play 14 seed Rutgers Wednesday night. If they win, they play Wisconsin at 8 Central, and goes on from there. So, best of luck to the Husker men's team. I wish them the best of luck. I want them to win games. I want them to do well. I want them to go as far as possible, but they have a long road ahead, so they have their work cut out for them. It all starts Wednesday at 6 against Rutgers. Well, the Nebraska football team practiced. Yeah, back to spring football already. Their first practice of the spring was on Saturday at the Hawks Championship Center. About 2 hours of practice in jerseys and shorts, mostly just run-throughs of stuff. Head coach Mike Riley said the practice was pretty smooth and there wasn't a lot of drama. That's always good, whether it be sports or just life in general. Whenever there's not a lot of drama, it usually means things are going well. Riley added that offense and defense practiced individually for about an hour. He also noted that Zach Darlington, that's a name we probably heard last spring during the quarterback race. Zach Darlington, he practiced as a wide receiver, position change. That was probably the biggest story Saturday. Riley also addressed defensive coordinator Mark Banker working directly with the safety position. So as of right now, Mark Banker, the defensive coordinator, is coaching the safeties one-on-one. He's coaching them himself. Probably a good move. I mean, honestly, the secondary needs improvement. The pass defense from Nebraska last year wasn't great, so having the coordinator work with them more directly, hey, I'm fine with that if it means improvement on the pass defense. Reminder, Nebraska's red-white spring game is set for Saturday, April 16th. We've got about 5 weeks yet, so we got a while. But again, Saturday, April 16th at Memorial Stadium, 1 p.m. kickoff. KRNU will have complete coverage. More on that in later shows. Moving on from Husker sports, if the Golden State Warriors fail to break that NBA record for wins in a season, they can look at their losses against some of the league's bottom feeders. 4 of their 6 defeats have come against the Bucks, Nuggets, Pistons, and Lakers. Those teams wouldn't make the playoffs if the season ended today. The latest loss came against the Lakers as Jordan Clarkson scored 25 points, D'Angelo Russell added 21. In a 112-95 rout of the Warriors in Los Angeles, the Lakers entered with the NBA's second worst record at 12-51. Really sad for Kobe Bryant's farewell season, but the Lakers' second worst record at 12-51 before they shot 47% from the field and 21 of 22 from the free throw line. Golden State's big three, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, pretty ineffective. They combined for only 42 points on 15 of 47 shooting. The Warriors misfired on 17 of 18 three-point attempts, and they ended a 7-game winning streak. The Warriors dropped to 55-6. They need to go 18-3 in their final 21 games to break the league mark of 72 wins held by the 95-96 Chicago Bulls. So they need to win 18 of their next 21 to break the record of 72 wins held by the Chicago Bulls of 95-96. Still possible, but their margin for error is getting smaller and smaller. Well, in the NFL, most of you probably already know about this. Peyton Manning is officially going out on top. The Denver quarterback has decided to end his accomplished 18-year NFL career after helping the Broncos to win Super Bowl 50. The team has scheduled a news conference for today. I don't have the official time for that, so stay tuned, sports fans, for that. I might look that up in our break. But news conference, as Peyton Manning will formally address his retirement. Manning's almost 40 years old, and he will go out as a champion just a month after Denver beat Carolina in Super Bowl 50, and it came just 4 seasons after a series of neck surgeries put his career in doubt and prompted the Colts to basically give up on him, unfortunately. The following year, though, he won the NFL Comeback Player of the Year with Denver. He's a 5-time NFL MVP and the only quarterback to achieve 200 wins in a career. His league record, 539 touchdowns, includes an NFL best 55 in 2013. And those are among dozens of NFL passing records. Congrats to Peyton Manning, a guy who worked hard. I know there was a little bit of controversy surrounding him after that Super Bowl, but overall, as a football fan, I still admire Peyton Manning and what he was able to do. Yeah, what happened at Tennessee in his college days was unfortunate. Why it resurfaced after the Super Bowl, I'm not really sure, but it seems like the case was settled back then. And Peyton moved on from it, became a better person, matured as his career went on. So congrats to Peyton Manning. He deserves it, deserves to ride off in the sunset. Hope he has a happy retirement. Well, some sadder news in the NFL. Police say Los Angeles Rams running back Trey Mason, who's an Auburn grad, had to be subdued with a stun gun twice when he refused to cooperate with officers who were arresting him in South Florida. Hollywood, Florida police say Mason refused orders to get out of his car after he was pulled over for going twice the limit in a 35-mile-per-hour zone, doing 70 and a 35. Wow. Mason is charged with resisting arrest without violence, reckless driving, possessing less than 20 grams of cannabis, and failure to register a vehicle. That's really unfortunate. Trey Mason, I admired him when he was playing in college. I kind of wasn't following his pro career, but what he did at Auburn was really great. Really unfortunate to hear this. Speeding, possession of marijuana, and resisting arrest. Unfortunate situation, but it sounds like police have apprehended him. And finally, ending with Big Ten basketball, the 12th ranked, I talked about the Big Ten tournament already. The 12th ranked Indiana Hoosiers will go into the Big Ten tournament with the number 1 seed. They won the regular season title. They also have momentum. They rocked 14th ranked Maryland just yesterday. Yogi Ferrell had 17 points and 4 assists in his last game at Assembly Hall. Senior day at Assembly Hall was pretty cool. That helped the Hoosiers hammer the Terps 80-62. Torrey Williams matched his career high with 23 points and helped Indiana crawl out of an early 8-point hole. The Hoosiers had first half runs of 14-3 and 9-0 to take a 41-28 lead into halftime. Melo Trimble had a team-high 17 points in Maryland's 4th loss in 6 games. You know, I was really high on Maryland. I was high on them last year, and I think they performed about as good as they could have last year. I thought they were Final Four material going into this year. Not the case. They've really played down to their competition. Nebraska had a chance to beat them here in Lincoln about a month ago. I just don't get it. Maryland has a lot of talent. Melo Trimble's possibly the best guard in the country. I don't know why they're playing down to competition. I don't know why they're reeling here late, but they've lost 4 of their last 6. I don't expect them to do much in the Big Ten tournament. If Nebraska was able to match up with Maryland maybe in like the 3rd round, I'd feel pretty good about Nebraska's chances. I'm not saying we beat Maryland, but I think it'd be a close game. I think it'd be interesting. That is a look at sports for Monday, March 7th. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at what happened on this day in history, March 7th. Also look at celebrity birthdays, and we'll also take a look at the life of Nancy Reagan. That's all coming up next. You're listening to Tom and Joe in the Morning. I'm Tommy Rezach, broadcasting live solo, Anderson Hall, 90.3 KRNU.
Follow Tom and Joe in the Morning on Twitter. Type in @TomJoeMorning. Seriously, it takes like 30 seconds.
90 minutes of music and fun. It's Tom and Joe in the Morning on 90.3 KRNU.
Welcome back to Tom and Joe in the Morning. Tommy Rezach here with you solo on this Monday, March 7th. 61 degrees. Sun trying to poke through out there, looking at still mostly cloudy skies. That's the way it should remain for today. Partly sunny, mostly cloudy, but warm and breezy. Highs near 80, and we'll see a pretty strong south breeze as well. But still, overall, really nice day. Lots to get to yet in these last 20 minutes or so, but we start with what happened on this day, March 7th, what happened on this day in history. And we start in 1876. When Alexander Graham Bell patented the telephone, the first telephone on this day in 1876, the 29-year-old Alexander Graham Bell received a patent for his revolutionary new invention, the telephone. The Scottish-born Bell worked in London with his father, Melville Bell, who developed Visible Speech, a written system used to teach speaking to the deaf. In the 1870s, the Bells moved to Boston, Massachusetts, where the younger Alexander Graham Bell found work as a teacher at the Pemberton Avenue School for the Deaf. He later married one of his students, Mabel Hubbard. While in Boston, Bell became very interested in the possibility of transmitting speech over wires. Samuel F.B. Morse's invention of the telegraph in 1843 had made nearly instantaneous communication possible between two distant points, but the drawback was it still required hand delivery of messages between telegraph stations and recipients, and only one message could be transported at a time. Bell wanted to improve on this by creating a harmonic telegraph, a device that combined aspects of the telegraph and record player to allow individuals to speak to one another from a distance. With the help of Thomas A. Watson, a Boston machine shop employee, Bell developed a prototype. In his first telephone, sound waves caused an electric current to vary in intensity and frequency, causing a thin, soft iron plate called the diaphragm to vibrate. These vibrations were transferred magnetically to another wire connected to a diaphragm in another distant instrument, and so on and so forth. So in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell, with the help of his assistant Thomas Watson, patented the first telephone. So a pretty important day in American history. Let's see what else happened on this day. In 1862, the Battle of Pea Ridge, Arkansas, in the Elkhorn Tavern. That was in 1862, a pretty important battle in the Civil War. Let's see. Otherwise, in 2010, Kathryn Bigelow became the first female director to win an Oscar. In 1974, Pearl Bailey and Richard Nixon serenaded a White House audience on this day in 1974. And in World War I, on this day in 1918, Finland signed a treaty with Germany. And on this day in 1941, in World War II, British forces arrived in Greece. And that's pretty much it as far as major history goes on this day, March 7th. Obviously, the highlight, 1876, when Alexander Graham Bell patented the first telephone. So there you have it on this day in history, March 7th. Not a lot of really important things outside of Alexander Graham Bell patenting the telephone. I really think 2010, International Women's Day, very appropriate day in history in 2010 when Kathryn Bigelow became the first female director to win an Oscar. She directed the movie The Hurt Locker, about an American bomb squad that disables explosives in Iraq, in 2004. And before her, only 3 women had been nominated for Best Director. Lena Wertmuller for the movie Seven Beauties in 1975, Jane Campion for 1933's 1993's movie The Piano. Jane Campion was the Oscar-nominated director for that. And then Sofia Coppola for 2003's Lost in Translation. And then as I said, Kathryn Bigelow became the 4th nominee for a woman director, a woman to have directed an Oscar-nominated movie, and Kathryn Bigelow became the first female director to win the Oscar for Best Director in 2010 for her movie, The Hurt Locker. Pretty good movie. I actually saw it. Very interesting movie about the situation in Iraq over the last 10 years or so. All right, celebrity birthdays to get to. Only a few of them today. We start with Jenna Fisher. She's 42 years old today. I watched the pilot episode of The Office on Netflix last night, just when I found out about this. Jenna Fisher, 42 years old today, an Emmy-nominated actress who played Pam Beesly and later Pam Halpert on the television series The Office. She also appeared in the 2007 comedy film Blades of Glory. Her other films include Walk Hard, The Dewey Cox Story, and The Promotion. She also appeared in Hall Pass with Owen Wilson and Jason Sudeikis. Very talented actress. Jenna Fisher, big fan of her. She is 42 today. Lynn Swann, 64 years old today. Hall of Fame NFL wide receiver who played his entire career from 1974 to 1982 with the Steelers. He was named MVP of Super Bowl X and won 4 Super Bowls in all. Really was a part of some of the greatest Pittsburgh Steeler teams ever. Terry Bradshaw on most of those. One of, if not the best wide receiver. I'd say goes Jerry Rice and then Lynn Swann, probably the top 2 receivers of all time, in my opinion. But if you have a differing opinion, that's fine. And finally today, celebrating a birthday for celebrities, Bryan Cranston, 60 years old today. He is a Tony Award-winning actor who starred as Walter White in the Emmy Award-winning AMC series Breaking Bad, which escalated his film career. He initially rose to fame as Malcolm's father on Malcolm in the Middle. His other film credits include Argo, Drive, and Godzilla. Bryan Cranston, 60 years old today. And that is a look at your celebrity birthdays for March 7th. Jenna Fisher, 42. Lynn Swann is 64. And Bryan Cranston, 60 years old. All right, I said we'd get to this several times this morning. Now 7:47, about 15 minutes left on the show, about 12 actually. This morning's gone by quick. Anyway, Nancy Reagan, the helpmate, backstage advisor, and fierce protector of Ronald Reagan in his journey from actor to president. She had a 10-year battle with Alzheimer's and died at the age of 94 yesterday. She died in her home in Bel Air, California. Actually, she had Alzheimer's, but ultimately she died of congestive heart failure. This according to the Associated Press. Her best-known project as First Lady was the Just Say No campaign to help teens stay off drugs. She moved into the White House after Reagan won the 81 election. She was a former Hollywood actress, partial to designer gowns and pricey china, and was widely dismissed as a pre-feminist throwback concerned only with fashion, decorating, and entertaining. But by the time she moved out of the White House in 1989, Mrs. Reagan was fending off accusations that she was a behind-the-scenes dragon lady, wielding unchecked power over the Reagan administration and doing it based on astrology to boot. But all along, she maintained that her only mission was to, quote, back her Ronnie and strengthen his presidency. And Mrs. Reagan carried that charge through the rest of her days. She served as a full-time caretaker as Alzheimer's melted away her husband's memory. After his death in June 2004, she dedicated herself to tending his legacy, especially at his presidential library in California, where Ronald Reagan had served as governor. She also championed Alzheimer's patients, raising millions of dollars for research and breaking with fellow conservative Republicans to advocate for stem cell studies. Her dignity and perseverance in those post-White House roles helped smooth over the public's fickle perceptions of the former First Lady. Again, I'm reading this from the Associated Press. So the Reagans' mutual devotions over 52 years of marriage was obviously legendary. She watched Ronald Reagan's political speeches with a look of such steady adoration, it was dubbed the gaze. Yeah, she was really passionate. They had a really strong marriage, Nancy and Ronald Reagan. In announcing his Alzheimer's diagnosis in 94, Reagan wrote, "I only wish there was some way I could spare Nancy from this painful experience." 10 years later, as it was his funeral in the U.S. Capitol, Mrs. Reagan caressed and gently kissed the flag-draped casket. A really emotional moment in that Reagan funeral from about 12 years ago. Really emotional moment. Just kind of spending some time just resting her head on her husband's casket and kissing the flag-draped casket. A really emotional moment. But yeah, as I said, very accomplished woman, very passionate woman about what she believed in. She raised more than $800,000 from private donors to redo the White House family quarters, to buy a $200,000 set of china bordered in red, which was her signature color. Got the nickname Queen Nancy at one point. What's considered possibly her best work was the Just Say No campaign to try and get kids to stay off of drugs. She married Ronald on March 4th, 1952, had a daughter named Patty, who was born in October of 1952, and a son, Ron, who was born in 1958. Ronald Reagan already had a daughter by the name of Maureen and an adopted son, Michael, from his marriage to actress Jane Wyman. Nancy was thrust into political life when her husband ran for California governor in 1966 and eventually won. She found it surprisingly rough, and she was quoted in saying, "The movies were custard compared to politics." So being an actress to Nancy, being the wife to an actor and being an actress herself, she was used to the spotlight as an actress, but when she got in the spotlight because of her husband's politics, it was quite a different story. But she adapted really well, enjoyed her time at the White House, and again was an advocate for fighting Alzheimer's disease, an advocate for helping kids and teens stay off drugs. Really an accomplished woman. Not enough you can say about Nancy Reagan. A really classy, passionate woman, a really inspirational first lady, and she passed away at the age of 94. I knew she was going through some health troubles over the last few years, but again, Nancy Reagan passing away at the age of 94 Sunday. So our thoughts are with the Reagan family this morning and this week as they remember a really inspirational member of their family, a really distinct member of their family, a really inspirational, passionate, devoted member of the Reagan family. So again, our thoughts from here, from 90.3 KRNU, we extend our thoughts to the Reagan family as Nancy passing away just yesterday. We'll take a quick break, come back with our final thoughts and some things you need to watch for this week, some things that will be happening, things that you might be interested in. We'll also look at presidential primaries and what to expect next in that. So stay with us for our final segment. You're listening to Tom and Joe in the Morning.
It's time to leave your nice, dark room and comfortable bed behind and face the real world.
I see the light! It burns!
It's easy with Tom and Joe in the Morning on 90.3 KRNU.
.55 in Lincoln, 61 degrees. About to wrap up the show this morning. Thanks for joining me. I'm Tommy Rezach. Joey Hoyle will be back Friday for our Friday morning show at 6:30, so you'll hear from him again. But again, our final segment, me and Joey always do the what day of the year is it? And today, Monday, March 7th, as a matter of fact, Tuesday is International Women's Day. Today, Monday, March 7th, is actually Cereal Day. But this week is International Women's Day. It is tomorrow, so I was glad we were able to talk about the first woman to ever win an Oscar as a director and also celebrate the life of Nancy Reagan. Because tomorrow is International Women's Day. Today is Cereal Day. Cereal, at least in terms of breakfast, is a surprisingly modern invention dating back to colonial America. Cereal has become an incredibly popular way to start the day. Why not try to celebrate Cereal Day by trying a new breakfast cereal? And just because I said we would do it, let's look ahead to International Women's Day and what that is all about. Mothers, sisters, wives, girlfriends, and fiancés. What would we ever do without them? Nobody can honestly say we don't owe them an enormous amount to the women in our lives, from the mothers who made us chicken soup when we were sick as children, to the sisters who helped us decide what to wear on our first date, and to the wives who somehow managed to juggle both a career and a family. Women's Day was first celebrated on February 28, 1909 in New York. 2 years later, German socialist Louise Zeitz proposed that the holiday become an annually observed one that would celebrate various women's issues from suffrage and just overall equal rights. The first few Women's Days were celebrated in quite different fashion than they are nowadays, with hundreds of demonstrations taking place in Europe. And how to celebrate? There are many ways to celebrate International Women's Day this week, but all of them have one similar goal: to raise awareness about the struggles of women the world over and honor their achievements. Of course, worldwide game changers like women finally obtaining the right to vote. There are all sorts of other similar feats that women manage on an everyday basis that you may not pay too much attention to until you're trying to calm 2 toddlers on yourself, or make dinner, or explain the particulars of a newly acquired client to your boss over the phone at the same time. This may sound ridiculously hard to pull off, but this is something thousands of women pull off every day. They are the fabric, the glue in our lives. Grand gestures aren't necessarily required to show appreciation either. Sometimes just a simple thank you and, quote, "I have no idea how you do it." And I have no idea what I would do without the women in my life, whether it be my sisters, my mom, my girlfriend, and several others, friends, colleagues, what have you. International Women's Day, very important day to celebrate, and glad we could talk about it today on Tom and Joe in the Morning. I apologize. I said it was today. I thought it was today. Today, Monday, is National Cereal Day, so today you can celebrate cereal, maybe eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you want, and then tomorrow is International Women's Day. But since we're not on the air tomorrow, I figured I would celebrate it today and talk about it today. And again, we had a pretty good day to celebrate it. Again, talking about Nancy Reagan, the former First Lady, and then also the first woman to ever win an Oscar as a director, Catherine Bigelow. Yeah, the name was escaping me for a second. All right, 7:59, last few seconds here on Tom and Joe in the Morning. A few things to watch for this week. Just to reiterate, Nebraska baseball in action Tuesday and Wednesday, taking on Northern Colorado, 1:35 first pitch. You can catch pregame at 1:20 on both Tuesday and Wednesday right here on 90.3 KRNU. Wish we could have spent more time on this, but the next presidential primaries are in Hawaii, Idaho, Michigan, and Mississippi. Michigan is the most important. So Democrats and Republicans fighting for Michigan. A lot of delegates at stake. They will also vote in Mississippi, and Republicans will vote in Idaho as well as Hawaii. So Democrats and Republicans both in Michigan, Mississippi, Republicans in Idaho and Hawaii. That is on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, the Virgin Islands, the Republicans will caucus. And then this coming Saturday, Republicans will be in the district in Washington, D.C. And Mississippi has 41 Democratic and 40 Republican delegates at stake. So again, Tuesday is the big one with Michigan as well as Idaho and Mississippi and Hawaii at stake. So for both Democrats and Republicans, it will be Michigan and Mississippi. And then for just the Republicans, Idaho and Hawaii. That's coming up. Tuesday is the big day. So the Michigan race will be an important one as far as delegates go for both the Democrats and the Republicans. And that's basically what's coming up this week. Nebraska men's basketball, they play Rutgers, Big Ten tournament, 6 o'clock, tip from Indianapolis, the Bankers Life Fieldhouse. That game will be aired on BTN. Best of luck to the baseball team, the men's basketball team this week. Big week in Husker sports. Hope you enjoy it. That's going to do it for our show here today. It's 8 o'clock. More of your favorite new and local music here on 90.3 KRNU is next. Thanks for joining me this morning. I'm Tommy Rezach. Joey Hoyle will be back with me Friday morning at 6:30. Thanks for joining us this morning. Hope you join us. We'll do it all again Friday morning, 6:30. See you then. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to Tom and Joe in the Morning on 90.3 KRNU. Catch Tom and Joe in the Morning from 6:30 to 8 every Monday and Friday morning. If you didn't even know a 6:30 in the morning existed and missed part of the show, be sure to check out the Tom and Joe in the Morning Facebook and Twitter page. and you can listen to the part of the show you missed. Now, go and have yourself a fantastic Monday, if that's even possible.